Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nancy from Niha Inc. here at Towtaid Park Handball Court, located in Leicester, Mass.
How you doing?
At Church Street.
This is Big Will. We're at it again here at Towtaid Park. Maintaining, sprucing up the courts, and was able to get I think 2.5 coats or so, because the back part I had to redo some of it, and planning to get the blue done hopefully tomorrow. This paint is a little tricky because you have to squeegee it on, and anyone that has done, like, let's say, driveway sealer, sometimes driveway sealer could be more forgiving, but this paint, because it's still categorized as more paint-like, you know what I mean, but it has like dirt in it, you have to do it a certain way, and then you can kind of see some of your mistakes when you do it. You have the swirls and stuff like that. It's hard to eliminate the swirls completely, but you still want to try to blend it in the best you can, and it kind of fades. Some of the swirls kind of fade over time. This is more DIY, so some of it, won't be as perfect as, let's say, a professional company coming in, but that's big bucks, so we do the best we can, but it should come out pretty good once it's all done. Just taking out some tape. This was just to kind of have some kind of a blend into the blue, and then I'll do the blue and match it up to the line, because that's more or less where the lines are going to go. I say give or take, because part of it is kind of a little bit overlap, so it's going to be kind of in between that. So here's like off center, is off the line, so the line itself will probably be it'll be matching up on both of them. It'll be like kind of like that, part of the line, the white line, so this is going to go up to there. So I have to put more tape on tomorrow, so the way the blue doesn't get on the gray. Short line. Kind of went from the short line that way today. I didn't do the front because you want to make, sometimes you try to fix on, to try to get it perfect, and you have to kind of get it as good as you can, because then you might end up using more paint than what you would like. And what happens is too, if there are any scuffs in the future or any kind of light repairs that you have, you want a little bit of extra paint to touch that up. If you use it all up, and then someone comes with a bike or skateboards or even something else, you know what I mean? Or maybe you get your blue paint on there, or you're doing the wall and you need to touch up an area, you want to have the same paint that you use. If not, you have to order some, and you have to order. It's always good to save some paint. Like I said, not perfect, but it's still good. I mean, it's more visible. The front is a little bit kind of thick in that area, but it's like a pretty high pitch here, and it meets at the front. That helps kind of preserve the bottom of the court, where it does get a little bit trapped, the water there, and it kind of sits, but it eventually kind of evaporates and gets out. Don't like the water sitting there, but when it does, when we have the paint, it kind of waterproofs the bottom a little bit, so it won't rot, but it'll kind of sit. So it has another problem, obviously, with the water sitting there. You may get some flaking there sooner than later, but if you come to play, you just kind of blow it off or something. But this color is good because you can see the ball much better. I mean, green is, kind of easier to hide scuff marks and things like that. But when you want to play, you want to be able to see the ball, so it is bad to choose a color that doesn't necessarily meet the standard of play, because then, you're missing shots. The game is hard. It's simple, but it's hard enough as it is to, hit some shots, so you don't want to make it harder by losing the ball and the colors. So although there is blue on the outside, it's a light blue, it's not going to be that bad. Gotta do another coat here. As you can see, this stuff is, if you really look at it, see, I'll take a piece. See how this goes on pretty thick. It's like sandy and gritty. And this gives you that non-slip, you know, the dirt that's mixed in it. So when you're moving on either basketball, pickleball, handball, tennis, really kind of comes from more of the tennis kind of basketball surfaces. I think it might have originated more from tennis. And then basketball courts are pretty much adapting to, you know, this type of paint texture. Because I've seen some basketball courts that were just kind of black top like that and not painted, you know, but the paint helps preserve the court. So we're trying to get that painted as well. I think one of the park partners is he's trying to push for that in Nancy and stuff like that to get that painted as well. But this helps protect it. As you can see, you don't see the grooves. See where you see over there in the asphalt, you start seeing some of the rocks start coming up from the asphalt, and eventually, you know, it starts opening up. I mean, this helps with the cracks. It doesn't mean that you won't get cracks in the future. I mean, it can still happen, but it helps protect and preserve that from happening. So you'll probably double the life of the court if you paint and protect them. And you probably got to do it I say anywhere from 5 to 10 years. You know, if you do a DIY, you're hoping that you get 5 years out of it, depending on how much you use it. If you go real thick, and you might be able to get 10 years out of it, but I think professionally done, you'll get longer. Because they use, you know, more paint, and you do a better job, you know what I mean, for most of the time. You know, I would have to probably do 4 coats to have that last as long as what they use, you know. And then you get these little shadows. I mean, I could have gone over it, but I'm not gonna. It's overdone, you know what I mean? Spend too much time repairing the courts, and then you run out of time you get out of season to play. So we were hoping to get a couple more months in before winter to get to use the space. And eventually have tournaments with basketball, handball, and pickleball. And you know, this park is really nice. I mean, sometimes these spaces like this, you don't have to have a humongous park. You have a nice little park, but it has, you know, the amenities, the things that you can use, and you end up with a great park. You know, we're trying to see if they can eventually try to put some maybe exercise stuff here. But the playground is great too. Maybe they can improve the paths along the water on the backside. And you know, like I said, there's a lot of shade here, and you get sun as well. So you get a combination. I think the basketball court gets more sun, but at least there are pockets of shade at certain times of the day, so they do get some shade later. But this is a great park, you know, Towtaid Park. Our parking lot is kind of small, but people have found their ways to kind of find parking, and they're working on improving that. So, and the lights as well. They're trying to see if they can turn them back on and see how that goes. Like I said, paint on the wall would be probably springtime, late spring. And then the back side, I think I got to touch up some wood, and then hopefully paint both sides. And then hopefully have a couple events here, you know, locally, and you know, open it up to everyone as well, you know, so that way they can kind of have some fun. And I think it inspires when you open it up. The community sees this sport, and you know, the other ones as well, like sees what it could be, you know what I mean? So they might aspire to get into it and gain some interest. And obviously pickleball doesn't need it as much, and neither does basketball, but the handball piece, you want people to be inspired to pick it up and to do it, not just in the inner cities, you know, that it can work anywhere. So this is pretty much considered a rural town, so, but it's pretty close to the city, so it's not that rural, you know, it's still within reach of the other courts in Worcester.
If you need more information about what we do, please go to www.nehainc.org. Bye bye everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Good one.